I try to keep remasters off my list, but I can't help myself with Crash Bandicoot, especially since we're talking visuals here. To be perfectly honest, I wasn't impressed when I first saw what this remaster would look like. It looked good, but not Ratchet & Clank Remake good. However, once I actually played the game and experienced it firsthand, I realized that despite it not being Ratchet & Clank quality, this game still looked really good. Vicarious Visions nailed the aesthetic of the original trilogy, adding immensely to the giant shot of nostalgia that is the Insane trilogy. Considering Call of Duty still runs on an updated version of an engine created over a decade ago, it's fascinating to see how far it's been pushed. It's thanks to the IW engine that each game maintains 60 frames per second while also pushing each game's visuals forward. Infinite Warfare was pretty, but World War II makes its beauty so much more apparent thanks to its familiar and grounded setting. All I really wanted out of Call of Duty World War II was a World War II shooter with modern visuals, and that's pretty much exactly what we got.
You think you got some guts, don't you?
This isn't us.
Well, look, it's all or nothing.
Breath of the Wild is beautiful, but it'd be pretty easy to overlook its stylized visuals on a big screen. I never really noticed just how beautiful this game was until I played it in handheld mode. The vibrant particles that explode out of each completed shrine stun me every single time, and I beat them all. Breath of the Wild style is an interesting middle ground between Wind Waker and Skyward Sword, and its snowy vistas and glowing grassy hills are a joy to explore. Despite its stylized visuals, it's immersive enough to give me the feeling of being on a beach or in a bustling village.
Wake up, Link.
Injustice 2 has gaming's greatest facial animation since LA Noire. Very rarely does it dip into Uncanny Valley. The intense focus of fighting games allow developers like NetherRealm to really go off on the visuals of their games, but it's great to see the visual fidelity of Injustice 2 applied to every facet of the game. There's a noticeable transition between cutscene and gameplay, but the gameplay visuals are so good it almost doesn't even matter.
I can't forgive the deaths.
I'm your only son, old man.
Dick was my son too.
Even with all its flaws, Battlefront 2 is still a really pretty game. That part cannot be denied, no matter which side of the fence someone's on. The rendered cutscenes made me almost wish they were their own movies separate from the game. I'd have gladly, and almost would have preferred, to have sat down and just watched the story unfold without actually playing through the campaign. It's a visual marvel, it's just a shame the campaign itself is a little stale. Still, multiplayer matches are just as gorgeous, and with twice the chaotic fun.
You wish to see me, sir?
The Emperor is dead.
An open-world game with the graphical fidelity of Horizon Zero Dawn just shouldn't be possible. While there are some repeated character animations and some questionable lip-syncing, as a whole, Horizon is undoubtedly one of the prettiest games of the generation. The vibrant colors of Horizon's world add a distinct visual flair meshed with the bright snow and flowing grass. It's strange for a game with such realistic visuals to have a distinct art style, but that's the kind of... the whole idea of Horizon. It's like other open-world RPGs, but it absolutely carves out its own identity. AA game development has largely gone away. It's mostly just indies and the big guys. However, Ninja Theory did a good job of blurring the line between indie and AAA with Hellblade by creating one of the most visual stunning games of the generation, despite being an independent studio. That being said, they have a wonderful track record and years of experience. If anyone could nail the AA and make it look as pretty as it does, it's Ninja Theory. The facial capture on the titular protagonist is brilliant, and there are some really incredible illusions done using live-action actors. There's a reason Senua doesn't automatically run through the world either. It lets the player soak in the majesty of each terrifying environment.
You fought for love unspoilt by your darkness within. You fought for your dreams. Now there's no way to win.
Persona 5 is incredibly unique from a visual standpoint. It has its traditional anime art style, but with so many added elements of flair and style. The contrasting color scheme of blacks and reds remain consistent throughout Persona 5's character designs and UI, and it's worth scrolling through the game's pause menus just for the animations. It's an incredible feat for a game without a realistic look to completely stun me. I think it's easy to say that without a shadow of a doubt, Persona 5 is the most stylish game not only of this year, but of the past decade, and maybe even of all time. The neon lights and lush forests that populate Uncharted: The Lost Legacy cement it as one of the most visually impactful games of the entire generation. I was blown away by the fourth chapter of the game, not just due to its beauty, but due to its incredible detail in such a giant environment. If Naughty Dog is experimenting with open environments as beautiful and detailed as the one in Lost Legacy, then everyone should be very, very, very excited for The Last of Us Part 2. The character models and animation are all in peak Naughty Dog form, and it's somehow even prettier than last year's Uncharted 4, even if it's only by a little bit.
Exploits our struggle in order to fatten her pockets.
So that's a no. Felt like a no.
It takes some gall to allow players to place in-game car models on real-life photographs, but Polyphony Digital can back that confidence up. In-engine, the game already looks absolutely brilliant. The vibrant fireworks in the night sky over Tokyo is one thing, but I'd wager a bet that someone could show a random person on the street a good shot from GT Sports' Scapes mode, and they wouldn't be able to tell real from game. Don't do that though. Don't be weird. Regardless, Gran Turismo Sport is further proof that Polyphony Digital is a studio of absolute perfectionists, creating boundary-pushing games every time they create a new product. GT Sport trims a lot of the fat of the previous games, and in turn, gains a lot of focus in what it has, and this applies to everything, not just the visuals.